Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be doing a meta tier list for anime adventures. And let's just hop straight into it. Alright, so first off, these are the tiers. You can read them if you want. They're pretty self-explanatory. Aizen, the old one, I'm just going to go decent. Nothing great. Akano, I believe, trash. 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 Octagawa. He's probably still meta ground. He does a lot of damage, but nothing special, honestly. I'd just say she's decent, honestly. I would not bring Albedo into anything. And before we get further into it, obviously, if you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe. And I'm super excited because we're going to be starting a new series later this week. I don't want to give it away quite yet, and the reason you're not seeing it today is because, well, it's the Super Bowl, and I'm not going to be here very long, so I don't have time to make that, but I will the second I get a chance. So that's why we're going over the meta units. You know what you need and what you don't. I'll kind of explain the ones that are good, you know, when we get to them. But yeah, Alucard, he is meta ground. He summons. I don't know how much he's going to be worth. I haven't even seen anyone trading him, so who knows. Garbage. Ainz is definitely still top 10. I'm just going to leave him up there for now. He summons full AoE hybrid, has a great ability, does a bunch of damage. He got nerfed, but he honestly needed the nerf. Next we have Archer. This is the one that goes hybrid, I believe. So I'm going to put him in meta hybrid. He does a lot of damage. Yeah, not much to say there. Does a lot of damage. Asuna, she'd just be decent. She's not great. Atsushi is definitely still meta ground. He does bleed, which is good. Avdol, I'm gonna just put in decent. He has kind of fallen off. Bell is actually decent. He does decent damage. I don't think he goes hybrid, but he actually does decent damage for a Battle Pass unit. Rook is a decent support. I think he does magic buff and maybe range. I don't remember, but not that great. Kid Buu is definitely meta hybrid. He still does a bunch of damage, full AoE, hybrid, obviously. Relatively cheap. Charmy is still a decent support. She's just not the best option for a slow anymore. Chuya is definitely still meta hybrid. I guess it kind of depends what you're doing, but I'd say he's kind of on the same level as Buu. He's 4 placement, but he is incredibly cheap. With Oshi, his final upgrade is 10k. So, yeah, incredibly cheap. Very easy to max out all 4, and the DPS is insane. Conrad is actually decent. I wouldn't really use him, though. Crush is a decent support, I guess. He's a shield breaker, but you don't really need those. Daki is... I'm gonna put her on Bible. She's just a bleed unit, and... yeah, there's so many of those now. Dazai is still meta support. He nullifies any abilities, full AoE. He's not hybrid, but say if there's a flying unit and you press nullify, no longer flying on the ground. Next we have Demiurge, who is still meta hybrid. He is a hybrid burn unit. He does quite a lot of damage, honestly. A lot of people probably have never used him because they just sacrifice him for Irons, which makes sense, but yeah. Diavolo's still a decent support. You don't really need him, though, because I believe his ability is the same as Kira's, and Kira's obviously way better. Next we have Amelia, who is still meta support. She's still one of the top 3, 4, 5. She's definitely top 5 slows in the game. All the top 5 or 4, I can't remember how many off the top of my head. All of those top ones are very good to have, so yeah, she's meta support. Endeavor is actually still decent. He does quite a lot of damage and burn. Aaron is trash. I'm not ranking the ones in garbage, by the way, so yeah. Dofi, I think his time has come. He is now indecent. I don't think he's meta ground anymore, sorry. Fujitora is also going to go indecent. He is a heal unit, and there's not many good ones, but at this point, there's a lot better. Gabimaru is actually meta ground. Believe it or not, he's very meta for a lot of tournaments. He does a lot of damage, does a lot of burn damage, and it's probably the best battle pass unit we've ever got. Caesar, believe it or not, is also meta ground for the same reason, great for tournaments. I can't believe I'm even saying that. That's ridiculous. Gilgamesh is definitely still meta hybrid. His DPS is absolutely insane, although his cooldown sucks, but his DPS is crazy, so he's definitely still meta hybrid, but very expensive. Gojo's a decent support, I guess. I believe he just stops time, but there's a lot better for that now. Goku is meta hybrid. He's a 4 placement. He does decent damage. He's a physical heal, which is kind of rare. And obviously, he turns into the best unit in the game, which I realized I don't know if it's on here. I don't think so. But, well, we'll get to that. Frieza is still decent. He does quite a lot of damage, but his SPA is kind of ridiculous and his range is short. Gon is trash. The ones that are trash, I'm not giving much explanation, so. Alright, Griffith is definitely still top 10. Because obviously you could do a bunch of damage with him, or you can buff with him, which obviously the buff is more important. But you're bringing the buff into anything that's long. So yeah, he's definitely still top 10. Guts, he's teetering top 10. I'm going to put him at meta hybrid right now. I don't know if he makes top 10 anymore. But yeah, he's going to go meta hybrid. He's full AoE bleed. Kind of ridiculous. Gyutaru is just decent. Another bleed unit. I believe he does amplify as well. Harry Bell is definitely meta hybrid, but I'd probably put her just above Archer. Her DPS is still pretty good, but she's definitely being replaced very quickly. Heathcliff, he's decent. He does quite a lot of damage, but his SPA is kind of ridiculous. The Sword Art units have definitely fallen off at this point. Hedon's also going to go decent. His ability is pretty strong, but his DPS and range is not all that crazy. But his ability is pretty good, which I believe does 6 times damage to units that are bleeding. Hinami is meta hybrid for sure. I'd probably put Hinami right there. She's just a very good starter unit to have. She obviously starts off hybrid. Her only weakness is she's not multi-hit. But other than that, she does a lot of damage, is hybrid, very easy to get. Next we have Homura, who is probably top 10. I'm not going to lie. She might move out, but as of now, she's top 10 because you can bring her into anything. The only thing that sucks about her now is her damage. Like, she really does no damage anymore, so yeah. Lilia, or Ilya, however you say it. She's probably meta ground. She does a lot of damage, but that's about it. Just a lot of damage. Issei's probably still decent. Itachi's probably still decent. Izu, or I forgot her name in the show. Kyoka. At least she's ground only. She is probably meta ground. She just does a lot of damage as well. Same as Octagawa. Dio over Heaven is still meta support. But obviously you don't need him for anything. There's other time stops like Homura. But yeah, he's still a meta support. Jiraiya is also a meta support. In my opinion, Jiraiya is the replacement for Emilia. If you don't have Emilia, just go get Jiraiya. It's easy to get the same SPA, the 7 seconds or 7.1, whatever you need. It's pretty easy to get on him, so yeah, Jiraiya is pretty much the Emilia replacement. If you don't have her, just go get Jiraiya, who's also limited, so I'd hurry. Julius, I guess, is a decent support. He's a pushback, I believe. Or no, he's a rewind like Kira, but obviously Kira's way better. Speaking of Kira, Kira is a meta support. He rewinds enemies and is very strong in leaderboard runs, if I'm not mistaken. And he does a good amount of damage, and he's not too difficult to evo. Kirito is definitely still decent. I think his DPS is slightly higher than Heathcliff, so I'm just going to put him above him. Again, just a damage unit, pretty strong. Kisuke is still a decent support. I believe he does range and cooldown buff. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never really used him. He's not that important. Kisame is still decent. I'd probably put him just above Gyutaru. He's just very good for story mode. That's about it. Alright, Koichi. Koichi is the best support for Infinites, I believe. Not only does he do a lot of damage, his slow is super good. His only issue is that he's a circle, but his circle is big enough to where it covers a good amount of area. So, yeah, he is a meta support for sure. Conan is... Honestly, I think Conan's been pushed out. I'm going to put her top of decent because she's a good hill. But I haven't found a reason to run Conan in forever. I just don't think she's all that useful. Kyoka is still decent. I'm not going to put her that high. She's just a damage dealer. That's pretty much it. Lancer, he's still meta ground. He does a lot of damage, obviously, with built-in crit. So, yeah, that's very simple for him. Law is... Honestly, I think Law is kind of out of the top 10, at least for me. He might move back up there. We'll see who we end up having up there. But in my opinion, I don't really find myself using Law that much anymore. Like, not even for tournaments or anything like that. Like, I mean, I do use him for tournaments. But he just seems to be so outdated now, especially with, like, burst-type enemies and stuff like that. He can't really teleport back as much. He's obviously still infinite meta. But I don't find myself using him on anything else that much. Like every now and then I'll need him for Infinity Castle or something like that. And obviously he's still one of the best units in the game. I just don't know if he's top 10 anymore because his usability is slowly going down. Next we have Leafy. She's a meta support. She's the same as Wendy and Orwin, so they're essential, so I am gonna put her above Law. I'm not gonna put her top 10 though, because she has a replacement, and I'm not going to do that with Orwin either, but they're buff units, they're easy to get, and you need them. They are top 10 units and will be forever. Luffy is still decent. He does a decent amount of damage and becomes hybrid, but he is only single hit. Alright, next we have Madoka. She is definitely still decent. I'd probably put her right there. She does a good amount of damage, good hill. Mami is still good as well. I'd put her right there. She's a very good hybrid. And a lot has changed since this last tier list, because some of these units I'd probably have up towards meta, but yeah, they've been power scaled out hard. Meliodas. Honestly, this unit is still very usable. Meliodas is going to go meta ground. This is the longest lasting unit, in my opinion, that's not a support. His damage has not really fallen off. He's pretty solid, so yeah, he's going to stay meta ground. A lot of people might not disagree, but yeah. Metal Knight's going to go decent. He's okay. He's just 2 placement, which hurts him. Naruto, as much as I hate to say, he is meta ground. It's just kind of disappointing. He does a ton of damage, though, so he's going to go towards the top. His DPS is insane, and his range is pretty big. I do have Sniper on mine, so that might, change it. But yeah, his DPS is crazy. He does so much damage, it just sucks he's ground only. Oshi, again, she's going to be the same as like Leafy. She is a top 10 unit because you can bring her into literally anything. Now, you don't have to, and sometimes she's not even required or necessary, but you can bring her into anything, so she's going to go with the rest of the buffs. Pain. He is a meta support, but there's a better and cheaper alternative than him. So, yeah, he does push back, by the way. Perona is a decent support. She slows, but there's way better slows. Also, you might saw me put Katakuri in garbage. Yeah, there's just too many options at this point. Poseidon, as much as it hurts me to say, he is slowly falling out of meta hybrid. I'd put him just behind Goku. He's still full AoE hybrid. Solid DPS. His range blows. And it's the same exact price as Kid Buu. I have Unique on him, so he's not really going to fall out for me for a long time. But it is kind of depressing. I wish he was still really good. Next we have Power. She's a decent support. She does bleed amplification, but there's a way better and cheaper version of her, so that's why she's going to go decent. Escanor received a buff, but I think he's still full AoE hybrid. He can go bottom of meta hybrid, and he got a damage buff, so he could stay there, but he's approaching the end of his life cycle as well. Next we have Pucci, who also received a pretty massive buff. He's not going to go ahead of the slows. He'll go ahead of Dio over Heaven and stuff. And he, they like doubled his damage. So his DPS got doubled, if I'm not mistaken. And his ability is insane. Halves the cooldown on everything. Also, I'm going to move the buffs to the end because they are top 10. You do need buffs. I'd get all of them. But this is kind of the order for meta supports. The buffs are top 10, but they're their own thing. So I could make another tier for them, but there's 4. So don't feel like that's that important. Jinx is trash. Roger is meta ground, but he'd probably go right there. I'm not a big fan of Roger. I never thought he was good, even when he came out. Like, Poseidon's way better than Roger. But yeah, he's still a good ground. Rohan is a decent support. His support ability is that he does a random ability onto a unit. Next we have Saber. She is probably meta ground. She does a lot of damage. I'll put her above Izu. Sabo's decent. I believe he's a burn, but he does not do that much damage. I don't even think he does more than Endeavor. Sayako, it's probably at the top of decent now. I no longer think she's probably like more like right behind Mommy. She fell off I wouldn't even say relatively quickly. It's been like 10 updates since she came out, so yeah, she fell off. Buddha, this unit's horrible. Shaltir is meta support. She is bleed amplification. I'll put her above Pucci because the bleed lineup is broken in almost everything, but a slow is broken in everything, so that's why she'll go behind them. Next we have Shigaraki. He's just decent. Next we'll move on to Shisui. And then we have Skull Knight, who's definitely not meta. He's like a slightly better Dofi. Give me 1 second. Alright. Smoker, he's actually decent, especially for a Battle Pass unit. He probably goes towards the bottom, though. Alright, next we have Sasuke, who I don't think is top 10 anymore. I think he's been pushed out. But he is still meta ground. Just one of the highest DPSs and best burns. Next we have Stain, who also may not be top 10. We'll see. But let's move on. Sukuna and trash. Next we have Tengen, who also received a buff, but that is not going to save him from decent. He's still full AoE hybrid, relatively cheap. But yeah. Next we have Tatsumaki, who is the better and cheaper Pain. Also does pushback, so pretty useful. Alright, next we have Usopp, who without a doubt is still a top 10 unit. You can bring Usopp into anything except probably like Infinites. But Usopp's very useful. Yeah, not much to say about him. He places traps. This is Vegeta. He is meta ground. He does a lot of damage, full AoE, good SPA, good range. Him and Goku make Vegito. Now, I know Vegito's not on here, and I could go find it. But instead, I know what we'll do. This Vegeta's garbage, though. All right, this is going to be Vegito. Veka is going to be our Vegito. He's going to go at the top of top 10 because Vegito is probably still the best unit in the game. He does quite a lot. His hybrid, very good SPA. He's just super expensive. But yeah, that's going to be our Vegito. All right, next we have Sid, who I think was also pushed out of top 10. Sid is full AoE and does true damage. And good. They actually buffed him, gave him a lower SPA, so his DPS got increased by a ton. So yeah. Ghost-kun, we have meta ground. He does burn and does a lot of it. But yeah, Aizen, definitely top 10. Arguable between him and Vegito, but I think Vegito's more valuable with the double trait system, so Aizen's going to go right behind. Aizen is obviously broken, full AoE, hybrid, super expensive, but has an ability that insta-kills units under 15% HP, so yeah, broken. Alright, next we have, what's his name, Switchblade. Now this is hard, because I just got Switchblade. His DPS is good, obviously his range is huge. And he does Dismember, which we haven't really seen the full potential of. We don't know if Dismember is going to come into play for tournaments or what it's going to be meta for. Obviously, it's going to be meta off of the new relic. But I would... For now, I'm going to put him towards the top of meta ground. Like I said, I haven't used him enough. Haven't got the use out of him yet. I know you can use him for the new tournament, but it's not the strat. So until we get a tournament for him to see how crazy he is, because he's obviously really good. He's one of the best units in the game without tournaments, but it's hard to see what the meta for him is going to look like. All right, next we have Sakamoto, who is for sure meta ground. I believe he does the most DPS from a ground unit as of now. And then we have Killswitch, who is meta hybrid, does a good amount of damage, but not better than the full AoEs, probably better than Goku, though. Next, we have Somber. I had to use the shiny because the other one was so low quality, I probably wouldn't be able to tell who it is. Somber is meta ground. She bleeds, but she doesn't really do anything else that crazy. Next, we have Phaeton, who is without a doubt top 10. Phaeton has one of the highest DPSs in the game and burns and is full AoE hybrid. So he's without a doubt top 10. He is more towards the bottom, though, because the rest of these units are just far more valuable. Next, we have Judar, who I also want to say is top 10. I put him right behind Phaeton. I think his DPS is higher than Phaeton's, but Phaeton obviously does the burn. They're both hybrid. Judar's hybrid off placement. They're pretty even. He could maybe go above or below, but Phaeton's newer, so I give him benefit of the doubt. There are 2 more spots in the top 10. Buddha's not going to get one of them, but he is going to go meta hybrid. Probably just above Demiurge. His damage is okay, and he has the multiple abilities. He's cool, but he's more just a showpiece, honestly. Next we have Cream. Sorry, I could not find a picture from the game, so just going to go off this. Cream is meta ground. I'm going to go above Vegeta. He is very powerful. Next we have Elf Mage, who is meta hybrid, but she is going to be towards the bottom. Yeah, I'd probably put her right there. I believe she has the lowest DPS from the new units that have come out since the new update, except for maybe Gremmy. But she has large range and a short cooldown, but her damage just kind of blows, so her DPS is okay, but she's a decent heal unit. Next we have Siren. Again, I didn't have a picture, had to go find one. She is meta support. She's one of the best slows. I'd probably put her right there. I don't know, she does a lot of slow. She starts off hybrid, so that's great. Next we have Honey, who I hate to put meta hybrid. She's going at the bottom because the way she ranks is differently. Absolutely a story killer. If you don't mind spending $10 just to get her guaranteed, you spend $10, you guaranteed can beat the story with just her. Like, she is a story destroyer. So yeah, she's going to go meta hybrid. I can't put her much higher because she's not really useful in anything else. All right, next we have Grimjow, who is meta ground, which I'd probably put just behind Stain. His DPS is insane, but he just doesn't have any ability or anything. He has a crit, but yeah. Next we have Gremmy. Honestly, I'm going to put Gremmy in decent. I know he's a new unit, but he's really not meta. His cooldown is like 14 seconds. His range sucks. He's expensive. He does no damage. Like, he's just bad, honestly. So he's just going to go decent. He's not really usable. And now we have the Battle Pass units. This one, honestly, is not even usable. That guy's not either. So yeah, let me know what you think of the list. I think we're missing some spots here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, we're missing 2. So 2 will move up in the top 10. Honestly, Sakamoto's got to be one of them, and I think the other one will be Law. So I think that is probably going to do it. I feel like there's some units missing from this, though. But I just trusted the list. I know I had to add some. I had to add all the new ones, but hopefully no other ones were missing. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully the new series will be started by then. It should. And I think you guys will like it. So stay tuned for that.